I want a good, like, one of those bad boys with heart of gold where he's like, I'm bad, but I also care about people, and I care about my family, and I'm just this way because of past trauma. That's what I wanted Chris Evans to play. That's what I want for him. That's what I want to see. Like a Ransom that's not, like, actually a murderer. Just, like, sort of a shitty person. I think that would have been so much easier because then maybe he wouldn't be dead. I just wish he wasn't dead. I wish Chris Evans didn't lie to us and that guy wasn't dead. And that Marta got to also keep all the money. That's all I wish. I had 3 wishes for this movie. And none of them came true. But then it would have been a different movie. It's whatever. I don't want to change the movie. I just want a separate, similar, parallel universe movie where these changes are made. And it's just like a nice family rom-com where it's Marta and Ransom falling in love, and Ransom's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't just care about money. Maybe I should care about other people. And Marta gets to keep all the money. And, like, the only reason that he, like, pretends to like her is because she has all the money. And the guy gets to live anyways. And he gets to, like, walk her down the aisle at the wedding. There we go. That's beautiful. Hallmark? Hallmark? That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. I just wrote your next blockbuster hit. Sony, Universal, Disney. Get the entire cast back together for basically a sequel, but it's not a sequel because it has nothing to do with the first plot whatsoever. It's just a parallel universe with the same characters and same given circumstances, but it's a completely different plot. None of this murder business. He lives. He gets to give all the money to Marta anyways. Like, it's not in his will. He just gives it over because he's like, I'm tired of being rich. I just want to be taken care of. Marta, you can have all of my things as long as I get to live here. You get to keep taking care of me. And she's like, wonderful. And then Ransom comes in and he's like, hey, I kind of want money, so I'm going to pretend to be into this girl. And then she's like, wow, I've known you for all this time and I never knew you felt this way. And then they slowly start to fall in love, and then she eventually finds out that he was lying to her, but it's one of those moments where he's like, it was at first an act, but now I really like you. It's one of those moments. And then they get to be together, then they have a wonderful wedding at the mansion, and everyone's invited, and everyone learns that, like, maybe love was the key ingredient after all. Maybe we don't need money. Maybe we just need love. The end roll credits. Isn't that beautiful? I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna write that. It's not gonna be called Knives Out. It's gonna be called... it's gonna be called... I was gonna say Spoons In, but that doesn't make any sense. It's gonna be called, it's gonna be called Love Actually, no relation to the 2008 Christmas movie. It's gonna be called Love Actually. Knives Out, Love Actually. That's the movie. There we go. I'm selling the rights right here, right now, to the highest bidder. I will take no less than $20 million for my creative endeavors. Thank you so much. It's gonna be called Love Actually. Knives Out, Love Actually. I don't know why that's so funny. That's the movie. I've literally written such a beautiful movie. I've done it. I've done it. I've done it. I've done it. And what if, like, instead of just the guy being like, I don't want to be rich anymore, he's like, I'm so tired of the way that money is ruining this family, so I'm going to take it out of the family and give it to Marta. And instead of people being like, we're going to murder, they're like, fuck, now we got to kiss up to Marta. And that's what they do. That's what Ransom does. And then they fall in love. And then everyone, all the family's like in on the plan because they're like, oh, if he gets to marry Marta and he gets all the money, then we all get the money too because we're all like in the family as well. That's what they do. Like, and Ransom never actually intended to give any of the money to the rest of the family, but that's what they all believe. Kind of like how, like, Marta believed that Ransom was actually helping her. There we go. There we go. There we go. And then we can have the whole family together. Then maybe, like, the kid could actually have some purpose in the plot. Like, it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. That's the plot that I want to see. I love a rom-com. I think that's just it. I want to turn every movie I see into a rom-com because I love rom-coms. Give me a rom-com with Chris Evans. I know that they exist. I know that there's one with Scarlett Johansson, but that one's bad. I want a good rom-com. Make it a Netflix original. There we go. Netflix? I will also take offers from you. That's a beautiful plot. Let's think about that for a little bit more. Ransom has no friends, because we're gonna have to really develop Ransom's character in order for him to be with Marta. Ransom has no friends because he's an asshole and he's rich, and his only friends are like rich people, other rich people who are also assholes, and none of them are actually like friends. And Marta goes to, she is an RN, so she's going into school currently, or she's taking her prereqs to get a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And that's where she's using the money, also to get her mom, like, documented. That's also still a plot. And she doesn't have many friends. Most of her friends are the families of the Thumblebergs. The Thumblebergs? I don't remember their last name. And she hangs out with them a lot. So neither of them really have any friends. So we don't need to add more characters into the storyline. We just get some, like, throwaway extras with, like, 1 or 2 speaking lines. That's all that we need. Pay them like $60 and like a credit at the end of the movie and they'll be fine. And because it's not a sequel, we don't have to pay them more. It's just a similar movie with the same cast. It's not a sequel though, so we don't have to pay them extra. Because, you know, in the words of Sharp Hammond, sequels pay better. This isn't a sequel, so it's not going to pay better. It's going to pay exactly the same. But it is a very similar story with the same cast, but it's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It has no relation to the first movie. It's a parallel universe. Okay, you still with me? Fran is a lot more in the story. Fran and, or Francine, her and Marta are very close because they both are the only people that sort of stay around the house 24/7. Like, the other family, they only come in for, like, big events, as seen by the birthday. But they hang out a lot. So there's a lot of, like, talks. So, like, Francine's an actual character in this. She's not just sort of, like, a plot device. Like, Francine's actually just sort of, like, whenever Marta is freaking out about whatever Ransom did, like, she'll talk to Meg, and she'll talk to Francine. Like, those are her 2, like, girl friends, and they're like a squad of 3. And they all talk, and she's just like, I don't know what this means, I don't know how I feel about Ransom, and they're like, because they're cousins. Meg and Ransom are cousins. This family tree is really wild. And Meg, like all friends talk about it in these rom-coms. She's like, oh my god, we're gonna be sisters, even though they wouldn't really be sisters, but like that's the concept going on. And then there's like cutaway shots. That's the thing. Do we want to know this whole time that he's playing her? Do we want it to, no, we want it revealed at the end. We want it revealed when she finds out. You know, it's kind of like after, you know, the critically acclaimed blockbuster After, where he's, like, lying to her. But it's not just, like, for a dare, it's now for money. That's the thing, is that, like, at the beginning when, like, it's basically, like, the first half of the movie with the whole birthday never happens. It's just sort of, like, it's post that. So it's, like, kind of a sequel, but it's not a sequel. And he, like, has this whole meeting where it's like he brings all the family together, and it's like not a birthday or holiday, so everyone's like just like, what's going on? And he's like, I've seen the way that money is tearing this family apart, so I'm giving all of my assets to Marta. And he points, and the camera pans, and everyone gasps, and they're like, oh my god. And then some of them threaten her, and some of them try to persuade her, but the only person who doesn't do that is Ransom, because he's smart, and he like sits back, and he like doesn't do anything for a little bit. So Marta's like not really on the defense when he comes at her. But then she goes away because she wasn't aware of any of this, and she goes to talk to, whatever his name is, the guy with all the money who doesn't die in this one. And then in that meantime, we'll see in a flashback at the end of the movie that during this time, when they go have this conversation, all the family goes and has this conversation, and they go talk to Ransom, because Ransom's the only single person in the family that's around her age. Look at how this movie just writes itself. And then they're all like, you have to do this. You have to do this for the family. We have to keep all the money. She's not part of the family. Blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, fine, I'll do it. And then, like, they, like, Marta and, like, the old guy, they have this conversation about why they do it. And then how he's like, please just do this for me. And she's like, okay. And then they come back out, and then everyone's just sort of silent and staring at her. And they're all clearly aggressive. And then Ransom breaks the silence with, like, some sort of witty remark, some quippy thing about how much he hates all this family and how, like, the silence, something funny, something sarcastic. And then, just to show that he's, like, against the rest of the family that's already against Marta. So he's sort of, like, the enemy of the enemy is your friend. So it's already building the bridge. And then, the old rich guy says something about how, I made up my mind, and then he like dismisses everybody, and then everybody like walks off to like go like talk with their respective like family circles, and they all like, when Marta's like leaving the room, they all like look at her and they're like, Except the thing that we don't know is that when old guy, I really should learn his name. I don't remember his name. It starts with an H, but it's not like a common name. It's not like Harvey. It's something weird that I don't know the name of, that I didn't realize was his first name until about 20 minutes into the movie, after they'd been referring to this character, and I'm like, who is Hullaba? Who is Hullaba? And then I finally put together that was his name, but Mr. Thimmelberg, him. When he says, you know, that's it, everyone should like disperse, basically. Ransom leaves and goes sits on the porch. So when Marta like walks outside for like some fresh air, she like doesn't see him until he says something and like startles her, and then they have like some like cute little flirty moments where she's like, I didn't mean for any of this to happen, this is just what he wants, and he's like, I'm glad to screw over the rest of my family too. And she's like, you're not mad the money? And he's like, I haven't made the dialogue yet, but you get the essence of what I'm saying. And then he says something about like, oh, let's get out of here, because you could hear people like fighting in the background, like they start to like argue because they're mad about like this whole money situation. He's like, let's get out of here. Then they go to like a diner, and then they go talk and they chat. And there's a great moment, like, I found the climax of the story. When, it's like somewhere between Act 2 and Act 3, right as Ransom's realizing that this isn't like an act anymore, that he actually likes her. And then she's like, because she can't lie, we're still building that into the story, she can't lie or else she'll throw up. She tells him that she loves him, and he knows it's the truth, because otherwise she would throw up. Beautiful story. Iconic moment. And like, we know it's like for real. We know it's for real. And then that's when he's like, oh, I'm in too deep. And he doesn't know what to do, and he starts spiraling, and then he starts like distancing himself, and then she's like, what the hell's going on? And then we're gonna make Meg a bad person in this too. Francine doesn't know, because they don't trust the help, because they're rude. The only person who would probably tell Francine would be Meg, because she's the only person that respects her, but Meg knows, as well as the rest of the family, that they can't let it slip. They can't let it pass the circle of the people that were there, because Francine wasn't there, because she would have no reason to care about like the money or the will, and she wouldn't be called into this. So Francine doesn't know about the plot, but Meg does. So like halfway through the Act 3, like right before the end of the movie, is when Meg realizes that Marta really likes Ransom, and she feels so guilty about what's happened, and she tells Marta the truth. And then Marta like freaks out, and it's this awful moment, and then the family's all together again for some reason. Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe it's Christmas. Who knows? Maybe it's Christmas. And then maybe this happens on like Christmas Eve. Maybe for the drama of it all, to sell those good Hallmark rights, this happens on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, Marta confronts Ransom in front of the entire family, and all the family starts like confessing, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry that this happened. And then like Ransom does this whole thing where he's like, it's not an act, and everyone in the family is like, and Ransom like confesses his love and how it was an act in the beginning. And then Marta's like, I don't know if I can forgive you, and then blah blah blah, something, and then like, I don't know, Ransom uses his money to get her mom documentation. I don't know how that works, but something like that. Like an act of kindness. That's what happens in rom-coms, is that like when, in order to be forgiven, the person who has done the wronging needs to have this grand gesture to prove that they care and that they listen. And that's what he'll do. That's what he'll do. I don't know how documentation works, and I don't know if saying that could just happen is like minimizing the actual issue. It probably is, but that's what we'll do. Maybe he was figuring out this all along. Maybe in that like that crisis climax moment, when he's realizing he actually likes her, he starts doing that. He starts trying to fill out the paperwork, and like, I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. I think you have to like sponsor someone and be in the country for a certain amount of time, or because Marta has citizenship. I don't know how it works. But something like that. They have a lot of money and they have good lawyers. I don't think the American government cares that much. But whatever happens, and that like he mails the documents to her to prove that like, oh, your family's all safe now. And like, then they live happily ever after. That's it. The end. There's a bunch of scenes in the middle with them having fun and talking shit about their family, but then Marta's like, because she sees like a different side of all the family that like doesn't shit on Ransom all the time. where she's like, you know, some of your family does this and this and this, because she's able to, you know, like, know everything because the grandfather knows everything, so Marta knows everything. So Marta's able to, like, talk to him about these things and, like, be truthful. And there's, like, a really cute moment where, like, they go shopping or something, and then he's like, do you like what I'm wearing? And she's like, yeah. But then, like, and then he turns away to go back in the dressing room. She, like, throws up in a plant. Like, it's funny. Like, it's funny. Like, it's a rom-com. I need to sell these. I need to sell this story to Hallmark. It's beautiful. Isn't this such a good story? Wouldn't you watch this movie? Chris Evans. And I don't know her name. Anna Day. I forget her last name. But wouldn't that be a good movie? Wouldn't that be a great movie? Ah, that'd be such a good movie. Let's build some more moments in the storyline. Meg and Marta go to the same school. It's really expensive, but grandfather, which is what we're just going to call him now. The grandfather is way more willing to pay for Marta's because he knows it's going directly to her education and that he's getting a good education that's eventually going to help him. And he's also just a really nice person, so he's paying for her education along with Meg's. But he's cutting off Meg because of the whole thing with Jody. So that still gives Meg incentive to, like, lie to her best friend in this way. But it also gives a stronger reason as to why they're really good friends. I also want there to be a really sweet scene between the great-grandmother and Marta, where, like, Marta's sort of freaking out and she doesn't know, like, how she feels about Ransom. And I can't believe his name's actually Ransom, but she doesn't know how to feel about them, and she can't, like, talk to Meg or Francine for some reason because, like, they're not there or whatever. Like, I don't know how the thing works with his great-grandmother if she stays at the mansion with them. That would make the most sense, wouldn't it? Because it's such a big house. Let's just say that that's the case. They didn't contradict anything else in the movie. So it's, like, late at night, and Marta's, like, freaking out. And she goes down the creaky stairs, and then she notices it's, like, the great-grandmother sitting by the fireplace, because she's also awake. And then Marta just sort of starts ranting. But, like, because the grandmother doesn't really speak, because we're going to keep that element as well. Marta just sort of, like, is ranting to just sort of, like, dead air, but she also wants to be, like, ranting to a person, but she knows that she's not going to get a response until she, like, finishes her whole speech being like, I don't know what to do, and blah, 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 blah. And then she, like, turns to, like, say goodnight, and she walks away. And, like, as she's about to go walk back up the stairs, the grandmother says something, being like, you need to follow your heart, sweetie. Or some sort of words of encouragement to push them together. I want that scene. That scene would be lovely. I still don't know where they're from. I don't know what where they're supposed to be. I feel like there were some sort of location markers, but I don't know what they are. But I want there to be moments where, like, Ransom shows Marta, like, the rich things he does, and then she learns to like them, and then, like, Marta shows him some of, like, the not rich things that she does, and then he starts to like them, and, like, it sort of chips away at his, like, cold, dead heart, and, like, he starts to love, and he starts to love her, and they end up together. Isn't this a wonderful story? Do you not want to see it? I want to see it. I think it'd be great. Do I think it's a bit predictable and overdone? Sure. But have you ever seen it with Chris Evans? I don't think so. Have you ever seen it with a cast like this? I don't think so. How about, because we don't exactly know when his birthday is, we assume it's sometime cold and rainy because of the outfits and because of the weather. So let's just assume it's, like, late fall. Let's say it's, like, beginning of October. So then we could, in theory, like I was saying, have, like, one of the family get-togethers be Thanksgiving, and then have the whole climax with the Christmas Eve be at Christmas. Beautiful. Beautiful. Because I don't want the con to go on for too long. Because I feel like that's just sad. Like, if he was in this con for, like, a year and then she found out, that would be bad. Like, if we got all the way back to October and it was his birthday again and then she found out, that wouldn't be cute. We're gonna change his character just a tad. Like, he's not a murderer in this one. He could be, but he's not. That's what matters. And he knew about that diner. He drove them to that diner. So maybe that's, like, one of the things that he shows Marta to show that, like, I don't just care about money. I have hometown values too. And then, like, he goes to, like, use the bathroom while they're at the diner. The waitress comes by and she's like, you have a wonderful boyfriend. And she's like, haha, he's not my boyfriend. That's uncomfortable and I'm awkward. And then the waitress is just like, the way he looks at you, tap, 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 walk away. And it's sowing the seeds of the relationship. I want this movie to be real. I might just write it. Might just write it myself. If you want things done right, you gotta do it yourself. And I might just have to write this movie myself. I'm a big fan of this movie that's never gonna happen, but that I really want to happen. Like, I don't think anything like this has ever been done. Where it's just like, a movie that did well and they're like, what if it just happened differently? What if it was just a different story? What if instead of a murder, it was a rom-com? So like, what about that? Like, it's like if you took Psycho and you're like, what about instead of the guy being a murderer, it's just a nice family vacation with like hijinks and like, sunburns. Like, what if that? But we definitely have to do it soon, unless we do want to cut out that kid, which I'm completely okay with, but he's gonna grow up and he's gonna look different if we don't do this movie soon. Okay, really quick, I've thought of more things. What if in the speech, when she, like, confronts him about all the lying and stuff, and he's like, no, I actually like you. Like I said, like, everyone's sort of interjecting because they were all sort of a part of it, and Richard, Chris Evans' dad, Ransom's dad, is sort of just like, he says something about how, yeah, we deserve all the money, blah, 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 and he, like, tries to, like, insults Marta and says, like, she could never be a part of this family because you're poor. And when his dad is talking about how, like, you'll never be a real part of this family, that's when Ransom interjects and he's like, actually, no, and I do love you, and da ba 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 da da. What if, like, during the wedding at the end of the movie, like, they're like planning it and they're everyone's about to walk down the aisle and it's almost wedding time, and Francine comes up to Ransom and she's like, you look great, Hugh, or something along those lines of, like, complimenting him, and he's like, please call me Ransom. And it's a wonderful moment of growth and respect, and I want that. I love that. Those are my thoughts. Leave yours in the comments. Do you want to see this movie? I definitely want to see this movie. If you have any idea plot points of this movie, leave it down below. You'll be credited as a co-writer when I sell this movie to Hallmark. This is why I need to be a writer.